Jay, you're gonna be busy for the next few days here or weeks here.
That's fine, because I can get off the racial relations subject, and we can talk about America's might and.
Still Team 6?
Hey man, I called it a year ago, Marvin.
Yeah, I called it. You know what's funny? I was listening to X and I listened to these rooms, and everybody's like, I called it to the day. I called it. Everybody wants to claim that they called the day that Iran stood still.
Well, I did call for regime change. I didn't say I was going to pick the day, but let's say hello to Mike Moon, another jarhead like yourself. What's up, Mikey Moon?
Hoorah.
Hey, what's up? Hoorah, Simplify, man. I don't totally agree with Rohan. I think that they're on their knees, and I think that they might come and meet with us. So you can thumb me down, whoever the fuck did that. That's fine. So we'll see. Time will tell. But I don't think they're going to bomb our bases. I don't think that at all. I think they've been severely damaged. They've had their scientists eliminated, head scientists. They've had their head of the military eliminated. They've had their proxies, virtually wiped out at this point.
But
Mikey, they're pretty fucking weak compared to what they were 2 years ago.
Mikey, let me ask you a question, man. You don't think there's, and I don't know, I'm just asking the question if it's true or not, but do you think there's sleeper cells in America that they could activate?
No, I don't. I'm not worried about them. I'm glad we did this. We should have done it to North Korea when we had the chance. We didn't, so I'm glad that we finally made the right decision this time around. We didn't need them going through the same shit that North Korea it has gone through. What we've seen North Korea develop that weapon, and we've seen them now, the power that they have automatically. Because I love these thumbs down. It's so fucking retarded to watch my own thing. It's really obnoxious. We've seen the trajectory of North Korea since they got the bomb, and we have to treat them vastly different than we could before. The last thing we need is Iran in the same position. So, like it or not, whether or not they're going to do anything, and whether or not I'm right about them coming to the table and seeking an agreement or whatever. What I am right about, I think, is that we didn't need them to be in North Korea's place. So I'm good with it, and I'm good, and I'm proud of Trump for. I know that Trump is as anti-war as a party can be at this point, and the fact that he still did this means that he obviously has a reason to do it. So I'm fine with it. I support him.
Thank you, Mikey. So before we continue this, Before we continue this stimulating conversation that's getting us nowhere, I have to take a moment and congratulate PB. She just recently adopted an orphan from Nigeria. She named him Chad. So everybody in the room, please reach out to PB and congratulate her on the new addition to our family. How you doing, PB?
Oh my God, stop. This is the most controversial one you've done so far. Hey, everybody.
PB, what do you think about the conversation? So sorry, Rohan.
I mean, I'm not a geopolitical expert. I do like the strategy, though. I think it seems strong. I do it with my daughter when she's silly before bed. I say, I'm going to take these 3 stuffies, and if, you don't come down, I'm going to come back for the rest. I think it seems solid, and I don't know. I think it's okay. I'm not thinking that it's going to start World War III. And I'm curious, though, to hear more about regime change likeliness from people who know more about the situation. So you've already covered it, don't?
Well, we've been talking about it all night, but if anybody wants to chime in, but I know Alf is going to come to the stage. Alf always brings great shares. And once again, peace to Sally. Congratulations on Chad. I know he's in the best hands possible. Blake, how you doing, Blake?
Well, good evening. Shouts to all
you're in the major, bro.
I see all the. Can you hear me now, JD?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to give a shout out to all my Jewish niggas out here, man. I see the clubhouse. I see all the clubhouse Hebrews are happy with Trump now. He can finally do something right by y'all by getting down with the global order. So, shouts out to everybody, man. It's a sad day for MAGA, but a happy day for the Hebrew niggas.
Well, we are neither Hebrew nor the N-word, but it's good to take out the world's foremost sponsor of terror. So I'm with you on that one.
I want to go to Alaska next. She has a lot of polarized things. Blake, hold on a second. I'll come back to you. I promise I'll come back to you, Blake. You're in the Matrix. But okay, thank you. So I'm going to go to Alaska, then I want to go to Alpha. Alaska?
I don't really have any point, really. I'm surprised at the amount of, I shouldn't be, but I'm surprised at the amount of Zionists, and also just people in general who are like, yeah, glad we bombed those people. It's just very strange to me, but hey.
You mean the nuclear development?
Wait, hold on, I have a question.
Why would
Does removing...
Alaska, whereabouts are you? Are you in America?
She's UK.
I'm everywhere, baby.
Everywhere.
He's omnipresent. Omnipresent.
Do you think
Girl of mystery
is a better
Got a
place?
rainbow pill.
Do you think Alaska? Can you focus here? Okay, great.
Oh, no.
I'm curious.
I don't react to that. You're not my dad. I don't like that at all.
Believe me, if I was your dad, I would have spanked you a while ago.
That's disgusting. I will not be talking to you more.
That's fine. Well, you don't have to. You can go if you like. Okay, it was a joke.
Oh.
Okay, I wouldn't like to put my hands
Do you
on
say those jokes to male people on here, by any chance?
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay.
Well, Rohan, before you accept, head from this woman, she's British, you should definitely check her teeth.
Why would you spank a man? That's a weird
thing. Oh my gosh, you should get an award.
Here's the long and short of it. She is a pro-Palestinian supporter, and she believes there's a genocide going over in Palestine.
Right.
Got it. So she hasn't eaten pork in a decade and doesn't brush her teeth because she's British.
And she never took the time to look up the word genocide or Zionism. I guess she has opinions
I
about
triggered
words.
a lot of you guys, huh?
No trigger. I'm pointing out your ignorance. That's
A lot of you guys got angry.
Nobody's angry. We're having fun with you
She's
here.
British, her teeth.
We're having fun with you.
How old are you guys?
I mean, how old are you? You're British, and we live in great countries. I mean, you're a second-class citizen based on birthrights. So I mean, like, what are you talking about?
All right, guys, let's
Great
get back.
side, you guys.
Okay, thank you. Alaska, hold on. Alaska.
Jeez. Why does this happen?
Alpha will bring the conversation back. Alpha, how you doing? Alpha, how you doing?
Good afternoon from Australia. How's everybody doing?
Oh, not another Aussie on stage. Oy vey.
My place just got better.
Alpha, you want to chime in on what happened today?
Yeah, sure. When Donald Trump's surprise decision to join the Israeli Defense Forces, or should I say the Israeli Air Force, in their coordinated preemptive attack on Iran, is a great thing to be celebrated by the people who have suffered from this regime for the past 4.5 decades. And the cumulative genocide that has taken place in Iran, where the Kurds, Persians, Baluchis, especially the minority Arabs have suffered the longest, which many of our leftist friends, unfortunately, turn a blind eye to. In fact, the Amnesty International, which is largely dominated by our leftist friends, published a report in 2017 talking about the extrajudicial killings of the PMU. The PMU is an Iran-controlled proxy inside Iraq, and since 2017, post-Kurdistan regional government's referendum, which was legitimate, and they have committed ethnic cleansing against the Kurds and some Turkmens in the region, And interestingly, our leftist friends have turned a blind eye when it comes to reports about that from left-dominated organizations or left-dominated NGOs like Amnesty International and different human rights watch organizations, which is interesting. And it speaks volumes. In fact, it's a betrayal of the very values for which the left stood when they went to sit on the left side of King Louis XVI. And I find that to be somewhat unprincipled coming from our leftist friends, who should be very supportive of the war against Iran and very critical of these proxies and guerrilla movements. Interestingly, it looks like that there is some movement from what I've heard in the past 4 hours from people inside the country, especially relatives and others who are very well entrenched in the armed movement, the armed forces in terms of opposition to the Islamic regime. It should be emphasized, JB and others, we should emphasize this more often, that this attack against the Iran is not against the people.
I want to talk with you. Good morning, all of you.
Sure. It's not against the people, and the people themselves welcome this attack, except for the hardline conservatives who have family in the forces and actually have benefited quite a lot from the institutionalization of this government since 1979, or should I say since the coup d'etat. But the rest of the people inside the country, especially the largest and the smallest minorities, have actually welcomed these attacks against the regime, against these nuclear facilities, against the mad scientists that were trying to help this regime bring about the next apocalypse. So it's a good thing. It's a good thing. And I welcome it. Being someone on the liberal side, a classical liberal, and I would say someone who follows John Stuart Mill, I welcome this. It's to take out a greater evil with a lesser evil. So I welcome it.
Sorry, can I ask you, when you said that you heard that there are some movements happening, are you able to tell us any more about that? Like, are you just saying like they're the ones who are kind of in military movement that are for happen? Is there like what's actually like? Do you know any more details you could tell us about that?
Yes. In fact, Laura Sellier from I-24 News, who's an anchor and reports on the Middle East, recently, 3 days ago, in fact, she published a column where she spoke about multiple Kurdish factions, except for the leftist factions, the Kurdistan Democratic Party of Iran, and others have actually called for contact with the IDF, and they've said that they are ready to make tactical decisions and to move against the regime. And many other armed militias have propped up, from the Kurds and the Baluchis especially. In fact, according to the Baluchi Liberation Front, they recently attacked many military bases in the south of the country. So they've begun their movements, and sooner or later, either the United States or the IDF itself will make some sort of direct or indirect contact and coordinate a strategic attack against the armed forces of Iran, which is the IRGC, which is one of the world's global sponsors of terrorism. And for instance, they support and they've organized Hajj al-Sha'bi or the PMU in Iraq, which is, I just said, that's very engaged in ethnic cleansing in Kirkuk region, and the extrajudicial killing of Kurdish farmers and seizing their lands, which is what our leftist friends call settler colonialism.
Alpha, let me ask you a question. You said a statement that and maybe I just need some clarity, that they're already attacking the southern positions in Iran. How are the people doing it with no armaments?
Actually, the Baluchis are doing it with armaments. They coordinated with the Kurds about 2 years ago, 3 years ago now, since the uprising that began, or should I say the revolution that began with the killing of Gina Amini in Kurdish Gulf of Sakaz, which is west of Iran or east of Kurdistan, however you want to term it. And they've been doing this for a while now. But right now they've called directly, and this is according to Media News and according to I-24 News, that they have actually called for the IDF to make direct contact and give them basically to commandeer them, let's say that way, to commandeer them to make movements against the regime. So most likely the KDPI, the Kurdistan Democratic Party of Iran, will be involved. That's for sure, because they're more of a center left movement, democratic, with a pinch of socialism in it, and it's most likely that they will make the move. But there's other factions like
Alpha, hold on 1 second, because I think Rohan wants to engage with you. Yeah, Rohan.
Yeah, look, actually, I'm happy for you to continue, because I'm really interested in what you're going to say. I just want to say a couple of things. Donald Trump on Truth Social just made a post. Any retaliation by Iran against the United States of America will be met with force far greater than was witnessed tonight. Thank you, Donald J. Trump.
It's a great thing.
He's putting his foot down, saying, we're not going to take your shit. Don't even think about it. This is preemptive. Also, the Islamic Republic run the Atomic Energy Organization said that the attacks on Fordo and 2 other sites will not stop nuclear development within Iran. The statement. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, following the brutal attack by the Zionist enemy over the past few days, at dawn today, the country's nuclear sites in Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan were attacked by the enemies of Islamic Iran in the barbaric act that violated international law, especially the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, or the NPT. This action, contrary to international law, was unfortunately carried out in the shadow of the indifference and even the complicity of the International Atomic Energy Agency. The American enemy has claimed responsibility for the attack on the aforementioned sites, which are under continuous supervision of the International Atomic Energy Agency, based on the safeguards agreements and the NPT treaty. The international community is expected to condemn the lawlessness based on the rules of the jungle and support Iran in achieving its legitimate rights. The Atomic Energy Organization of Iran assures the great Iranian nation that despite the evil conspiracies of its enemies, with the efforts of its thousands of revolutionary and motivated scientists and experts, it will not allow the path of its development of this nation's industry, which is the result of the blood of nuclear martyrs, to be stopped. This organization has put the necessary measures, including legal actions, on its agenda to defend the rights of the noble Iranian nation.
Thank you, Rohan. So hold on, Rich, hold on. Rohan, were you done?
There's a few more, but they can hold off. They're not important.
I got a question. It's more of a legal question. I don't know if there's anybody on this stage that would be able to answer it, but...
Well, McZed's a lawyer.
Yeah, well, I know what kind of lawyer he is, but anyone's free to jump into this. I'm just wondering, when it comes to constitutional law, what my question is that I know that the AUMF doesn't cover this. The 1973 War Powers Act probably covers this, but that would require Trump to discuss with Congress know anything about what approvals he got? I mean, he thanked the Joint Chiefs of Staff. I would assume that his handlers would have said, "Hey, look, we need to talk to Congress about this." Even if you don't need a vote, thanks to the 1973 War Powers Act. But I'm just wondering, if there's any concern that he should have legally after doing.
I mean, in the War Powers Act requires notification 48 hours after conflict, and Congress has a 30 or 60 day period where they can pass a joint resolution of disapproval, and if they do that, the president's supposed to withdraw forces. To me, I think that's constitutionally dubious. Restraint on the power of the commander-in-chief. If you look at the kind of history of the Constitution, these sort of attacks, barbaric parts, early in our history, engagements against both the French and UK early in our history kind of point to this. These kind of limited attacks are, at least in my opinion, in the constitutional authority of the commander-in-chief.
There's some verbiage here that I think we need to clarify. This isn't a conflict, and it's not really considered an attack. Again, it's a very surgical strike on a military target.
Can you give me the definition, the definition and the differences between an attack and a surgical strike?
Yeah, I mean, I can give you my general ones, but I can dig it out. But and then the gist of it is, an attack is with intent to further on the effort. Like, for example, the Hamas attack on Israel, where that was an attack, right? They went in with an intent to both kill and take hostages, and then they had kind of like a justification for that was kind of mushy, and you can poke holes through it. Whereas this is in response to, and this is why I talk about the marketing of the effort, right? The legal structure is, hey, we gave you these many days to discuss. You were out of bounds by IAEA. You've been hiding these things, and now we need to take them out. And that's all we're doing, right? That's the legal and the marketing effort around that. But as you and I both know well, the timing of this is what's really, really important. And even the choice of words that he used in his speech, to me, reflect that change of regime. So that's kind of where I'm going with that.
Thank you.
There's also
Howard, hold on 1 second. I'll come right to you, I promise. I just want to say hello to Scott Jones. Hey, Scotty.
Hey, man, good to see you. Thanks for that chat. I appreciate it.
Good to see you. Did you want to chime in, or you just want to hang out with the cool kids?
I'll chime in. I liked Roger's question, though. I thought that was a good.
Thank you. Howard, Gavin.
Oh yeah, hey everyone. I was just going to say the other, component in terms of communication coordination with Congress, if that did happen, is the Gang of Eight too.
Thank you, Howard. Alpha, are you there, Alpha?
Yes, I am.
So I have a question for you. I believe you're Kurdish, correct?
Yes.
So what does today's action by America specifically mean for the Kurdish community in Iran?
Well, JB and everybody in the room, it's a good. They've sent mixed messages. For instance, the Kurdistan Democratic Party of Iran, or the Kurdistan, or the Democratic Party of Iranian Kurdistan, and the Partizan Azadi Kurdistan, the Freedom Party of Kurdistan, which is an offshoot of the PKK, which is the Kurdistan Workers' Party, declared terrorist organization by many nations around the world, especially in Europe, including the United States. They have distanced themselves, including one of their left coalitionist parties, which is Komala. Komala basically means the collective. And given that the Komala and KDPI's skepticism that the regime will not really fall, and I believe this is because they themselves do not have the strategy to mobilize against the regime for many tactical and as well as logistical reasons, given that many of them are now in Suleimania region or in the Erbil region, like Koya, which is in South Kurdistan or North Iraq, and Khoisanjak, which is also again in North Iraq. So that's the logistical problem. And the Kurdistan Democratic Party has said that they may not allow any Kurdish factions to mobilize against Iran. And of course, given the monopoly of the Barzani family, then that complicates the stuff. That complicates the situation further. Inside Iran, like I said, the Baluchis. I will put the article. In fact, let me just put that article in the chat for you guys, those who want to know, because it's good to speak with at least one credible source. And by the way, like I said, Laura Sellier reports for Bloomberg and France 24, and she posted this on her X handle as well. So there's mixed messages really, except for one faction, and that is the Kurdistan Freedom Party, which is an offshoot of the Kurdistan Democratic Party of North Iraq or of South Kurdistan. And basically they have distanced themselves from any kind of separatist goals. For what reason, nobody knows, but however they have emphasized the need for the regime to fall and the need for regime change. But however, Israel and the U.S. have not necessarily made those statements as directly, and I'm sure they have good reasons for it, given the global public's aversiveness to such statements. But eventually the regime will fall if the war does continue, if the attacks do continue, and they simply disable and of course destroy much of the Iranian military capability. But as for the Kurds, there are Kurds out there right now who have actually called for a direct contact. There's been, how can I call this? There's been separation, splits happening right now. Militia splits that are now coalescing and are calling for Israeli commandeering. So they're calling for Israel to give them tactical positions. So in case they need it, or if it needs be, if it's necessary, they're willing to move. But the official statement from the Kurdish parties is, we don't want to make any kind of military move yet, any kind of, we don't want to move soldiers, we don't want to move the Peshmerga forces. And that's to their own detriment.
Thank you, Alpha. I think Dr. Responsible was trying to get in. Dr. Responsible, Ricky?
Well, after that last statement, that's way too much for me.
Ricky, sorry, Ricky, give me half a second. I just want to say something quickly. According to the New York Times, Ayatollah Khomeini has retreated to a secure bunker amid fears for his life and has begun quietly identifying possible successors within the military and religious leadership in case current top commanders are taken out. The report says 3 senior clerics are now being considered as potential replacements for Khomeini himself if he is killed. Notably, his son, Mustafa Khomeini, long rumoured as his likely heir, is not among them. There you go.
So this comes at a good time. So what we're saying is that because of Trump's leadership and obviously Israel's intelligence, we have the main staff, or backup staff, of Iran's terrible regime hiding, running hiding themselves in pits like Osama bin Laden. And I just wanted to say, like, I really appreciate a lot of you who is the America First president, but are willing to say, hey, we still might not like him on this, but this part he's got it right. And I'm also worried that Donald Trump might go back on his America First positions in some ways. It's because maybe Netanyahu is in his ears quite a bit. And I'm not saying that anything would lead me to believe that right now, but I am worried about that, and I would like to be able to prove it.
Bro, is it possible?
Yeah.
If nobody is in the queue, is it possible if I read out? Oh, well, no, I know what. We'll leave it at that. Guys, I put the link in the chat, so if you guys really want to read it, I think it will help if you want to have a fresh perspective with in terms of what's going on inside the country and how's the mobilization going.
Alfred, look, I mean, if you'd be happy to paraphrase it, perhaps if it's lengthy, it might be a benefit to people. That's entirely up to you. In the meantime, whilst you're considering that, I'll just read out another statement that's come through from Netanyahu that addresses Israel. Dear citizens of Israel, my brothers and my sisters, from the start of this operation, I promised you that Iran's nuclear facilities would be destroyed, one way or another. That promise has now been fulfilled. A short while ago, in coordination between myself and President Trump, and complete coordination, operational coordination between the IDF and the US military and the United States struck Iran's three main nuclear sites, Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan. This powerful strike builds on earlier IDF and Mossad operations, continuing the effort to dismantle the nuclear program that poses a direct threat to our existence and endanger global peace. After the operation, I spoke with President Trump. It was a warm and moving conversation. He praised our soldiers, our people, and in turn I praised him, the American pilots, and the people of the United States. President Trump is showing strong leadership of the free world. He is a true friend of Israel, a friend like no other. On behalf of myself, the citizens of Israel, and the entire Jewish people, I thank him deeply. And I know, citizens of Israel, I speak from the heart of every one of you as well. So, I think they're having a bromance. Ajax, sorry, Alpha, did you want to...
I just wanted to emphasize this point as well, Ro, just for your, for everybody's reference. In 2017, 2019, in fact, sorry. In 2019, if I'm correct, the commander of the PJAK, or PJAK, the party Jiana Azadi Kurdistan, or the Life and Freedom, the Freedom and Life Party of Kurdistan, like I said, which is an offshoot of the PKK, actually made a statement. Zilan Vajin is the commander-in-chief of that faction. They made a statement that...
His name was Vajin?
Zilan, yes, Zilan Vajin. I'll put it in, I'll send it to you.
Vajin is in, you'll never get this.
Yeah.
not the Sasha Cohen Vajin. No.
Oh, we love Vajin here. Okay, go on.
Yes, I'm pretty cultured there, so I'll catch the joke. Zilan Vajin actually made a statement that in the case, or in a situation where Iran is facing a preemptive attack or any kind of war against it, that they will not take a position and they will have their own views and perspectives, and they will deal with the situation accordingly. And given the recent distanciation that they have committed to, simply speaks volumes, which is very much to the detriment of the Kurdish aspirations, who have suffered for the longest, more than anybody in the region, and of course the Baluchis and the other minorities like the Azeris or the Arabs. And then, of course, you have the Persians, who themselves brought Khomeini to power, but now they are the victims of their own past decisions. And now they've been victimized by their own past decisions and past aspirations for supposed liberation from the Shah. Not that the Shah was any better. In fact, the Shah was just as brutal, but just more subtle and less brazen with it. However, given this ambiguity, then Israel is really dealing with also a difficult situation, because if there are no allies inside to mobilize, and the people are not willing to be galvanized, whether out of fear, whether out of lack of leadership, then it makes complete sense why Israel and America have not made any explicit statements about regime change. But this also holds out to the opportunity that in the case that there is mobilization by militias popping up or simply separating themselves from the official leaderships of these different liberation movements to coordinate an attack against the regime with the backing of Israel and American air forces, or even troops on the grounds, which is a very unlikely chance. But what I will say is that given this lack of leadership and given the ambiguity of the liberation fronts, except for the Baluch, it's not likely that the United States or Israel will call for regime change anytime soon. But I do believe it is on the table, because they have not necessarily ruled it out.
Could they do a regime change without anyone's help?
Well, that's an interesting question, Holly, because if we take examples of regime change, for instance, inside Syria or Iraq before the 2003 U.S. intervention, you have to understand that the Shiite majority and the Kurdish people inside Iraq were very mobilized, very galvanized, and when the militias began their movements, especially from 97 onwards, and they started making a lot of gains against the Saddam regime or the Ba'ath regime, the U.S. had something to work with. That's why Paul Bremer was in constant contact with the Kurds, and people like Ahmad Chalabi from the Arab side, and even the Turkmens. So there was galvanization of the people, and their specific forces and militias could be mobilized, because there was consensus that the regime must go. And the people, given their suffering, they were ready to move on against the regime. But in Iran, we've received mixed messages, and especially from the Kurds. Now, if we say that the Baluchis are a viable option, sure, the Baluchis have already begun, armed mobilization against they've mobilized their armed forces against, or militias against the regime. In fact, they've attacked 3-4 places already. The Kurds have made no such movements. In fact, one of the PJAK faction has completely tried to delegitimize the attacks against Iran, against the regime, and it's calling for the typical, sloganeers that our leftist friends go for. It could be solved through peace and whatnot. No, this regime does not know peace. This regime does not know compromise. Because if this regime wanted to compromise, it would not arrest 22 females and just kill a Kurdish one, for example, like Gina Amini, right? If it wanted to compromise, it would remove the morality police. If it wanted to compromise, it would bring radical reform. But it didn't. And these factions, mostly on the Kurdish side, have been struggling against this regime, and many of their activists have ended up in jails and executed extrajudicially.
and they still have the audacity to say that, oh no, we can still take the peaceful route or take the route that does not involve armed coercion or of some sort. That's not how it works, in fact. That's not how it works. And this viewpoint is not really viable when people are suffering by the hundreds of thousands of people. So if there is no mobilization inside Iran, armed mobilization, then I don't see how Israel and them could topple the regime without boots on the ground. Because they have to bring boots on the ground. If they put boots on the ground, then it will be just Israel, and I'm sure the NATO will get involved, most likely, and that's how they will change it.
Yeah, first of all, now you're talking silliness. There ain't no boots on the ground. That's not happening. So let's talk about reality. Trump said that after these 3 sites were hit, that if they don't come to the table for peace, that we have other targets. What are the other targets that he's referring?
Look, you just have to take out the bases of the IRGC, the facilities of the IRGC.
Well, I'd like to hear from somebody else, because you were the guy that was just saying that it requires boots on the ground. I'd like to talk to somebody who still touches grass.
Hey guys, how's it going? It's an interesting day. This is unexpected. And the fact that it went off without a leak, a hitch, and nobody knew about it, that's pretty impressive. But what's your question, Roger?
What are the other targets that are on the table?
I imagine some of the military bases and the leadership. Trump is very strategic in his missiles. He doesn't really like boots on the ground. So he does missile attacks, air attacks a lot more frequently. I'm imagining that his target list is probably energy, oil fields, well, maybe not even the oil fields, more along military bases, and I would think the leaderships or the IRGCs, like their actual personal palaces and residencies.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. I also think it's when he talks about, like, okay, I'm going to name successors, like, the people that are being named successors are probably like, geez, thanks. At this time, like, nobody wants to be in the secession list, I'll tell you.
If you want to look at my picture, it has a bit of more detailed information on what actually happened. And I think it's, we're moving into PSYOP territory, as we've probably been for a while. But, you didn't hear that from me. Hello to Roger and other co-conspirators.
So who's going to take over when, IRGC is fully disabled exactly? Anybody, any idea?
I don't know if it were as easy as that. As easy as that, Iraq, Syria, and Libya would have gone a whole hell of a lot better.
Are you guys open for a name change? Could we rename Iran Trumpistan? Anyone know?
No, I think they should rename its most ancient of names, for sure, which is what it is. Just rename its ancient name and be done with it.
Why are you going to be a party pooper, Marshall? Trumpistan zone?
I didn't notice that it was a joke until right now.
The odds is strong with this.
But you don't think there'll be retaliation on the United States and these sleeper people?
I think there'll be retaliation. Yeah. I think, look, I mean...
So then that's what I don't want. I don't want retaliation.
Well, there's blowback to everything that we do. There's consequences to action, there's consequences to inaction. And I think this is one of those areas where, you break an egg to make an omelet. If I had to say what's most likely to happen is you're going to see opportunistic hits at bases that have U.S. soldiers. So hopefully that everyone everyone's on super high alert. You would hope that that's the case. The other thing would be, some sort of high-profile, civilian target that that will get them all fired up. They really like that. When there's one thing about the Islamists and the jihadists really like, and that's when civilians die. They really celebrate.
Yeah, Strait or Hormuz is probably the key target. That's when the Nimitz is sitting over there. So.
But what is it that they could actually do to America that would make the average person give a shit? And I don't know what you can do. Yeah, but I mean like a scale. I don't know. I mean, because the nuclear thing is out because of the galactics, but because it won't happen. The Galactic Federation will quantum stop it. So I guess the cyber attacks, and I guess more like large scale sleeper cell thing, activity. I don't know.
Have you considered that in the baseline?
Huh? I didn't hear anything.
Well, I can tell you as an American, I am terrified. I don't think that we actually realize what Iran in 2025 is like compared to Iran in 2005, compared to Iran in 1985. What?
Oh, what? Do you think they're gonna fly massive?
Wait, hold on, Marshall, hold on. Why is everybody coming up mute? I don't know where Ross is going, but everyone else should be on mute while Ross is speaking. And anyone that's not named Ross that's unmuted will just have to have their conversation in the chat. Ross, go.
So, what the U.S. just did, technically speaking, from an international perspective, is they attacked a country that, to this date, has only used enriched uranium to provide power to facilities refrigerating food and providing air conditioning, as well as other things involving energy being converted into power for production. Iran has never
Ross, let me ask you a question. Ross, let me ask you a question. Ross, let me ask you a question. I hear what you're saying, and it sounds like, just correct me if I'm wrong, that you would have preferred to wait until there's a mushroom cloud over Tel Aviv and then say, aha, those bastards, they did it, now we got to go get them. That's what you would have.
I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is engineers physically working at buildings, these buildings in Iran, if they wanted to kill people, they're going to do it without nuclear technology. What I'm saying is that the nuclear technology itself has only gone to things that provide energy for infrastructure. That's what.
Got it. Okay. So you hold on, Marshall. So if I'm hearing you correctly, you believe that the IRGC in their goals when it comes to nuclear is simply for benevolent means, and they want to just power their country. That's what you.
I have no opinion. I'm saying the United States of America, irrespective of any other country, that every citizen of the United States of America, including myself, just personally attacked people that are capable of killing me. I don't think you understand.
Wait, hold on. Well, hold on, Ross. Before you go further, do you know what a personal attack is?
You do not understand. My family is a family in the United States of America. And in the United States of America, just
You're
killed.
not serious.
Wait, hold on, no, Marshall.
I could be killed tomorrow.
Okay, hold on. Your
What the
family.
fuck is this guy tripping about?
Hold on. Everyone mute up. Ross, mute up. Ross, mute up. Ross, mute up. Ross, mute up. Everyone mute up. Listen, there's a few things going on. Either he's trolling, and if that's the case, then we should just relax and we should just whatever. If he's not trolling, what we should pray is that his family that he just cried out to would manage his medication a little bit better than they're doing.
Yeah, so Ross, so talk to me, talk to Kate, I'll listen to you. I do a Shark Tank thing, so it's like I can read people fast. In one sentence, what is your problem? It is blank. And the answer?
My problem is that I could be dead tomorrow.
From
the United States of America is messing with people that they do not understand their capability. You do not understand what just took place.
I mean, you know, actually, there's a sense in which you could be right. So we don't know yet. So why don't we just leave it there? You know?
This is so interesting, Ross.
You know, I mean, we don't know what happened. That's very true. Okay, so, but we're all in the same boat with that as well, right? Some of us have friends that have bunkers, some of us don't. I have friends that have bunkers, you know, it's okay.
I do not have a bunker. I do not.
Okay, you know, well, I mean, you can message me and I'll be your friend for at least till we determine whether you need a bunker, and then that's it, man. You'll be good.
I don't think lying about a country that can't launch a ballistic missile, whose ability to strike our nation relies on proxies and terrorist groups, is, to be frank, intellectually honest. It is emotional. It is caving into one's fear. It is not using the decided part of one's brain that is able to fit things through and make logical arguments.
Okay, hold on. Let's just assume for a second that he's being honest. I just want to make sure that we're helping him out. If he is really concerned, if he's genuinely concerned with the fact that he doesn't have a bunker and that somehow the scary IRGC is going to come to get him, I have posted a link at the top of the page to Atlas Survival Shelters. It's the world's #1 bunker builder.
Thank you, Roger.
So,
God bless.
So Ross, if you're truly concerned about this, you know what? If you're really concerned, maybe we'll even do a GoFundMe in this room and we can help you out. But I think Dr. Responsible is trying to get.
Thank you, sir. I think we should just hear Ross out because, Ross, I'm kind of wondering, obviously you're upset, and I'm wondering why this move by the United States is so much more visceral for you than when they bombed Libya, when the United States went in and fucked with other really bad people. Could you explain that?
Because this is Iran.
Just back channel me, dude. He already has a bunker. We don't need a GoFundMe. Let's move right along. So next person needs a bunker or him or any associated funding. I mean, okay, great.
Starts with 01038. Okay.
That's 100, dude. You're amazing. Just message me privately, dude. I'll make you tons of money, get you whatever you want. 100%. And I'm not at a gay bar. I'm in my Porsche.
Ross, the reason you're being poked at is because you don't sound serious. That's why. If you were genuinely serious about it, we could have a conversation. But you're not being serious about it. So if you would like to,
he is. He's totally genuine, dude. He's a very scared, long-haired liberal, and that's okay, man. We'll take him in.
I am not.
We'll get the guy bunker access to it, 100%.
Can I just say this?
Absolutely, 100. We'll get him signed up.
He's 12 years old and trolling, guys.
Guys, wait.
Nah, he's doing it first.
Guys, too many people talking at one time. Alfie, you want to say something?
Holly, I love you, baby. I'm trying to.
Is that if you're building a filter system that if you want to filter out low frequency signals, you use a capacitor in parallel with the resistor. If you want to filter out high frequency signals, you use an inductor.
Ross, I just want to say I followed you. I enjoyed the troll.
Mute up. Look, Ross, are you serious? Are you trolling us?
No! I'm saying that we attacked Iran and there are engineers in Iran that can kill
their...
Hang on! Just hold on to your monkey. Alright, cheers. So Iran is the world's biggest sponsor of terrorism in the world. Okay, biggest sponsor of terrorism in the world. They have been...
Wait, hold on. I want to fact check you on that, Rolo. More than Clubhouse?
Yeah, more than Clubhouse. They funded Hamas, Hezbollah, Palestinian Islamic Jihad, the Houthis. They funded the armies. They've funded the ballistic missiles, hypersonic missiles. They are a threat to the Middle East.
I'm not talking about the Iranian government.
Ross, hang on for a second. Okay, they've threatened America. They call death chance, death to America, death to Israel. I'm gonna ask you a question. I'm not gonna posit it. What do you think should be done about such a threat? Where? Okay, hang on. Okay, 4%. 4% is for general consumption in terms of nuclear. I've forgotten the word. In terms of having enrichment, 4% is enough to be able to cover general purpose. 20% is for medical. 60% is what exactly? I'll put it to you this way. I've got a feeling that if they were left to their own devices, it'd go well beyond 60%. Do you feel that it would be safe to be able to enable such an actor to be able to have such a lethal weapon?
The lethality of uranium does not scale as a function of enrichment in the way that...
Just mute the fuck up. Thanks. Appreciate it. That was a question that was going to Ross. Ross.
What I am trying to say is that if you were to detonate a lower value enriched piece of uranium over a civilian target, that it would be just as dangerous as a highly enriched piece of uranium.
You know, your voice sounds like Charles Manson.
He's an intelligent 12-year-old. I'll give him that.
I'm trying to say something really simple. There are
Ross, you're trying to say something. You're not answering my question. Okay, what should be done about the big boy, the big bully with the big weapon? Okay, how should the situation be approached?
I don't know, but what I do know is that there are young girls and young boys under the age of 12 that will not have power for the next few days for their refrigeration and for basic essentials.
A bunch of terrorist groups around the Middle East.
And I'm saying that their parents
shouldn't have committed. Maybe their government shouldn't have committed to enrich uranium to get a bomb.
Marshall,
to bomb Israel.
You are. Do you live in America?
Motherfucker, I live in Texas. I don't live in America.
How are you not on your knees praying right now? This is not a
whining little baby.
I'm telling you that
the threaten me and scare me and put my tail between my legs.
Mine's like something wrong with my microphone. Okay, Ross, I'm going to go back to this equation. You either choose to be able to do something or not. You either enable Iran to be able to keep on enriching uranium and become even more dangerous than what they currently are, or you do something about it. Would that be a fair junction?
Iran is the place where the people that don't want to go to war
Are you going to answer a simple question?
Can I just say this?
Don't
Can I ask one question?
I'm not going to waste all my breath with you any
I just
longer.
want to ask one question, bro.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, go for it, JB.
I just came back in and I'm like, holy shit, I didn't know what he's talking about, but I was like, this dude sounds just like fucking Charles Manson. Ross, has anybody ever told you that before? You sound like Charlie Manson?
I've never heard Charlie Manson speak.
JB, I'll say this to you, Ross. Ross, as a person whose family are mostly in Iran right now, and we have people in Iran, with the majority of them calling and welcoming the attacks against the regime. They're calling it. They're not willing to. Yeah, they're not willing to be afraid or give in to fear or capitulate to a regime that has been killing them for decades. But you sitting away about 7,000 miles, well, more than 7,000 miles, right? Give or take 100 miles, and you're afraid that tomorrow your refrigerator will not work. With all due respect, this is just a complete circus that you're trying to rile up.
Alfred, it's a first world problem.
Oh my God, my refrigerator's not gonna work. How am I gonna get my matcha tea?
Well, JB, thanks for the opportunity again, and God bless America.
God bless King Trump the First.
And I just forgot to say, I'm Israel Chai. Take care. Thanks, Raj. See you.
Stay safe, Alpha.
I don't have security like other families in America.
Ross, I don't have any fucking security either, but you know what I do have? A set of balls.
Marshall,
I don't let the Iranians scare me, and I don't worry about a regime who could, at most, send a missile to the Levant. Couldn't touch us, and the only thing they can do practically on our soil is terrorist attacks, which Al-Qaeda did, and guess what? We're still fucking here. So, I don't understand your whiny, and I mean this sincerely, whiny argument where you literally cried. There's just no point for it, and the reason I'm ridiculing you is because it is not an academically honest point of view. It is one...
Well, there you got us. Let's buy some bunker.
Okay, now you're in the audience again. Listen, when the trolls come up, you need to identify that they're trolls, and you need to respond accordingly. I just want to say this: Ross has won. He's sucked everybody into his troll, and you've responded to him as if he was serious. Way to go, Ross. Well done. Well played. You've earned a permanent spot. I'm going to actually follow you. You've earned a permanent spot in this house.
Can you make him a model?
No.
I wouldn't do that.
I got a question for Marshall.
Yeah, what's the question for Marshall?
Yeah, Marshall, now, did you just say Iran's government can't really do anything?
No. I said what he was worried about? No, they can't. What he is worried about is the end of civilization. That's not happening. The Iranians are not dropping a nuke in fucking Chicago or Houston, Texas, or Austin, Texas, which is the thing this kid is worried about, which is, as Roger said, probably a troll.
I'm worried about the people in Iran going to the area that do not want to be involved in a war, that know how to finish one. I'm not talking about...
Maybe they should have overthrown their government and put somebody else in charge who wasn't suicidal mullahs who want to wipe a couple of countries off the map if they get nukes. Maybe they should do that. I don't know. Just fucking thinking.
Marshall, he's trolling. You
can't argue with that.
You know, when trolls meet autism, it's a very funny experience to observe.
Yeah, because autism doesn't get that it's trolling until autism is told.
Wait a second. Hold on. I need some clarity on that. Was he a good autism or bad autism?
Autistic.
We only allow the good autistic people on the stage anymore. The bad autistic people, we don't.
Thank you. Ross, hold on. Everybody hold on. Rob, just give me a second. Ross, are you autistic? Are you on the spectrum?
No.
You sure? You've been tested?
I've been tested.
Okay.
Yeah, so my follow-up then, Marshall, is I guess by your logic, I'm saying, so they are a threat to Israel, though, right?
Yeah, absolutely, an existential threat. It's why the Israelis.
Wait, hold on. Can I just predict? Hold on. I want to predict something. Rob's gonna ask, why is it okay for Israel?
No, I'm asking. Why
mute
are
the fuck up for a second. Mute
I've
the fuck
already
up
asked
for a
that
second.
question.
Mute the fuck up for a second.
We're not doing that tonight, JB. We got it, big dog.
Okay, you're in the fucking audience, retard. Listen, he's got the good sickle cell, not the bad sickle cell. I'll bring him back up. But listen, if you're going to have these conversations, right? This guy is so fucking one-dimensional. He doesn't know. He couldn't find Israel or Iran on a fucking map. But his issue is, why is it okay for Israel to have nuclear weapons, but it's not okay for Iran to have nuclear weapons? And I will entertain his question the moment he can point either of those countries out on a map. Anyways, I'll bring
it. That was the best accented impersonation I've ever heard on Clubhouse. I beg of you to continue it.
That's because Israel is white. That's why they can have nukes.
Can I ask a question?
Browns.
Let me answer.
So, Roger,
let me respond before y'all kick me off the stage again, because that's what y'all do.
You're responding literally in the middle of me speaking.
That wasn't the question. I don't give a fuck.
Wow.
That wasn't the question.
Monkey politics. I'm going to go ahead and let you go. Monkey
that's
politics. Yes.
Man,
number one.
Number
one banana.
Happy Pride Month.
Number one banana.
Hold on, guys.
Happy Pride Month.
Hold on. We're gonna have a queue. We're gonna go Dr. Adams, and then we're gonna go Rob. Dr. Adams go. Then we're gonna hear from Rob, and let's see if Rob says something original, because he hasn't said anything original in the last 6 weeks. But Dr.
No, I'm definitely going to bring some scholarship to this app. Vince Vance, anybody heard his song from the 1980s? Roger?
No, I have no idea who this is. Is this a black artist?
Bomb, 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 Baran. Bomb, 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 bomb.
I think that was the 50s, bro.
That's the Beach Boys, Adams.
Yeah, I think you got it wrong. But Rob, let's go ahead. Let everyone stay on mute. Rob is going to say something intelligent for.
Hey, fuck Roger. That's number one. Number two, fuck Roger. Fuck JB for playing both sides of the fence every day. If you're gonna be a coward, be a coward. If you're gonna stand for what's right,
I bet you're not gonna say fuck banana.
Wait, hold on, Adams. Hold on.
Happy Pride Month to Adams.
Rob,
Happy Pride Month to Adams.
No, Rob, hold on. Adams, please don't do that. No interruptions. Rob's gonna get to the.
Sorry, it was so easy.
I know. And listen, nobody gets.
Despite the fact that he just tried to make a reference about the song Barbara Ann.
What he's trying to do is insult the mods so the mods will move him. He's buying time because he has nothing to say.
The question that I was going to ask Marshall though simply is, if Iran is such a simple. Hey, I'm talking. No, I'm talking.
I've got a question. But if you're going to be fucking JB,
man,
Roger, I don't want to fucking miss out on this, okay? So don't you fucking dare miss out on fucking.
All right, good job, white guy from another country.
Let's just let Rob ask this question. Go ahead, Rob.
The question that I really was asking Marshall was, based on his logic, Iran doesn't seem like much of a threat, so why do they need our assistance?
Rob, wait a second.
But unfortunately, Roger interrupted me before I asked the question, and then we got all of this. I had already asked the nuclear weapon in the chat, Roger, and you actually responded. Do you recall that, Roger?
I'm interested in his accents.
Rob, can you get to your point?
Do you responded?
Rob, can you
do you respond? Do you recall responding in the chat? Well, my question was very simple. I was asking if Iran was such a threat, if Iran wasn't that big of a threat, why do they need our assistance? Because the way that Marshall's logic was just, again, you cut me off, so this could have been over 3-4 minutes ago, but you decided to go and try to insult me.
So Rob, I'll answer your question. Marshall's not here. I'll answer it for him. Here's the reason why the U.S. got involved here. Was, first of all, like, who doesn't want to smack around the IRGC? But the more important thing is that we had the B-2s loaded up with bunker busters. The targets that we were hitting, we're the only people on the planet that have the munitions that can hit a target and that can go 200 feet underground to hit that target. Does that make more sense, team? I guess not.
You have to mute, Rob. That's the bottom right button.
You see how JB playing? See how he playing the game now? Every other day, me and JB get along. We have intelligent conversation with each other. But that's how it is, man. Hopefully you come to a room I have next week. I ain't gonna be kicking people off the stage. I just like to come into a room where the moderators aren't gonna
change, Rob. Focus.
How come he didn't answer? Did you not like my answer?
Well, I didn't hear the question. Actually.
You opened your monkey ears. Wait, hold on. No, hold on.
Actually, I fell out the room. I fell out the room, so I didn't hear it.
Hold on. You strap in, because you were the one that asked. You were the one that asked.
I didn't hear your response, Mojo. Did you not hear that I had fell out the room?
Correct.
And when I came back, that's what JB was saying.
Strap in. Put your hands and feet inside the ride.
That's what JB was saying.
Keep them there at all times. Put on the seatbelt. Put on your emergency harness so you don't fall out.
Okay, Zionist. Okay, Zionist.
I'm proudly a Zionist. That's not a fucking insult to me, motherfucker.
Okay, Zionist. It should be.
Well, only to a Jew hater would that be an insult.
I'm not a Jew hater. There's a difference.
Oh, you hate
That's
Jews,
what you guys do. No, I don't. I have no problem. I have great respect for the faith of the Jewish people, Judaism. I have great respect for it.
Oh my God, here we go. We're about 10 seconds away from Black Hebrew Israel.
What did you say? Oh, I'm not though. No, I'm not. See, that's what you do. You keep trying to make assumptions, and again, you're making yourself look stupid.
Oh.
It has nothing to do with Hebrew Israelites. I said I have great respect. And they muted me again.
I didn't mute you.
Again, like I said,
let's not mute
I have great respect. I have great respect. I have great respect. I have great respect for Judaism.
Oh, okay.
For the Jewish faith. Criticizing the nation of Israel, their government, is not anti-Semitic.
But hang on, you're not making sense, Rob.
Of course.
Why would he Rob?
It's not.
Why would he start now?
It's not.
I don't know, JB. It doesn't make sense.
How does that not make sense?
Rohan, it's
I'm saying criticizing the nation of Israel.
Okay, can we please?
Are we saying that criticizing the nation of Israel is anti-Semitic?
It can be, but not necessarily. No.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Criticizing the nation of Israel, the state of Israel, is not being anti-Semitic, and it's not suggesting anything negative.
How Hitler? How Hitler? How Hitler?
Alright, you're out of here. Yeah, bye-bye.
I already got him. Good.
All right, bye-bye. Yeah, bye-bye. So hold on. I want to speak to Rob. Rob, can you please tell me what your understanding of the word Zionism means?
In a nutshell, people who felt like Israel deserved their homeland, and we'll leave it at that. And that's fine.
Yes. So it quite literally.
And that's fine. And they have their homeland.
Hold on. Listen, I want to have a conversation with you, something that I don't think you've ever done. But I want to have a conversation with you here. So if Zionism is the belief in the right to the Jewish people to have a homeland, right? Which I think, it's not controversial to say that Japanese people should have a homeland. It's not controversial to say that Italians should have a homeland. It's not controversial to say that Spanish people should have a homeland. But for some reason, to some people that claim to not be anti-Semitic, they don't believe that Jewish people should have the right to a homeland. And this is and the way that they say it is by saying that I'm anti-Zionist, which, by the way, that would have been a perfectly appropriate position to have prior to the creation of the state of Israel, because there was people among the Jewish community that weren't always Zionists. There was other thoughts that they could have done. You know what they could have done instead of forming their own state? They could have just said, you know what, let's hide our Jewish heritage and let's just go hide in the rest of the world. We'll give up our traditions. We'll give up any signal that we're Jewish. And so when you now in 2025, if you say you're anti-Zionist, not only are you saying you don't believe that the Jewish people should have the state of Israel, which is akin to saying like you don't believe the Japanese people should have Japan, right? But not only are you saying that, but you're making this statement. You're making this statement in 2025 when you don't even understand the beginning of these struggles. You don't know the history of who's been in control of that land, who's lived in that land, who's come as visitors to that land, who's attacked that land. You don't know any of the history, because if you did, Rob, and listen carefully here, you would know that at the same time that Israel was granted statehood and declared themselves a state to be recognized by the civilized world, at that same time, Arabs were offered statehood in the form of what you would call Palestine. And what they did is they rejected it, and instead the Arab world decided to go to war against Israel. But I'm going to tell you this. Once I hear your response, we're going to move on, because this conversation is not about Israel. It's not about the Jews. It's about the fact that finally an American president looked at the head of the snake in the eye and said, "Not today, Satan. We're coming for you." But Rob,
damn, Roger talking positive about Trump. I love this from.
Yeah, the only response I would have to that is I would have no problem with anybody having a homeland, but it seems that they have a problem with the other group of people governing themselves. And from the Arab perspective, this is how I would look at it. If I've been in this land for however long, who are you as the British government to offer me statehood in the area that's already mine? So whereas I can actually see it from your vantage point, that the Arabs should just...
Interesting. Wait, hold on. Interesting. So it's already yours. It's already yours?
Well, I mean, I'm just saying from the Arab standpoint, that would possibly be why they would reject it.
So they had an army.
That's possibly why they were rejected.
So they had an army, they had a government, they had borders.
Was it Britain's? Was it Britain's?
Yeah,
was it the UK's?
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Was it the UK's?
Okay.
Listen,
it wasn't. It wasn't anymore the UK's. It wasn't anymore the UK's. They had some guns and they came in and they took over.
Okay.
That's right. That's right.
I'm using you not because
I get you guys don't like my response, but you know, you don't have
Rob,
you're just stupid. It's not whether we agree with you or disagree with you. You're just an ignorant human being.
Wait, Rohan,
you guys don't agree. I don't agree with something.
For a minute, bro. Jesus Christ.
JB, we gonna meet up, JB.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, listen, don't threaten me, bro, because I'll actually shoot
I have no more respect.
I don't give a fuck. I don't need your respect.
You cosplay as a racist some days.
You have no more balls to call like you. Shut the fuck up.
Hey, man, you a faggot.
You can bring it back up.
You already shut the fuck up for a second, thanks.
Rohan, you're very...
Feature Rob.
Now, is that any better? Is that any better?
Yes, Rohan.
Yeah, okay, great. Yeah, Rob, I don't have a problem listening to what your opinion is. The way you're putting it across is just so fucking disrespectful, and that's the reason why I keep on muting you. You don't seem to be able to respect the law of the land here. It applies not just to you, it applies to everybody else. We've got a one mic policy here, and it's very rude. Like when a moderator is trying to have a conversation, you try to insert yourself over the person. We can't have a conversation with you. The position that you're taking is actually tormenting yourself. You don't realise that Jews have been living on the land consistently for the last 3,500 years. Okay, you don't seem to appreciate that there was an option and a possibility that was put forward in 1948 to be able to have two states, and it wasn't necessarily going to be a Palestinian by name state, an Arab state, and a Jewish state. Simple.
The option was put down on the table. It was rejected. And then 5 Arab Muslim armies and countries surrounding it declared a genocidal war. I'm using the word genocide very deliberately because that was the intention. The intention was, as was stated historically, to be able to wipe the Jews off the land. It's pretty simple.
I think I think you've been trying to get in. Ricky, hold up a second. I think Dean, are you there? You want to go?
Oh, yeah, can you hear me?
You're a little low. We only want to turn it up a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for the opportunity. It's not good. So I'm ready and just...
I can't
Fix your mic, it's really quiet.
Yeah, you're still low, dude. Yeah.
Let me check.
Should I ask my question, Matt, or no?
Yeah, just go ahead. Go ahead while he's fixing that.
It's always feedback. That's better. Go ahead.
Okay, so first, thanks for the opportunity to speak here. And I'm Iranian. I just wanted to bring your attention to a few points. So Iran just announced that they're going to block or close the Strait of Hormuz, and there would be no ships passing by there. About the recent events, the tent of Fordo was already empty when US attacked there. Because if not, we were going to have another Chernobyl. And basically, Iran has other sites which are not known. Plus, it's a bit ridiculous to assume that Iran's neighbor and ally Pakistan has nuclear weapons. Iran itself doesn't have.
Let me just say a couple things. So as far as the Strait of Hormuz, we've got a carrier strike group that's going to protect that. It's not worried about that. As far as having hidden nuclear sites, I think the problem is that you can't hide. You can't hide from the people that know everything. And here's the thing: if the good guys can put pagers in the pockets of the bad guys and then make them blow up, I'm sure we could find a nuclear.
Sure, let's say. I mean, more than half of Iran's income was spent on military. You know that, right?
Okay.
After that, Iran's neighbor, they have nuclear weapons. So what makes you think that Iran doesn't have that right now?
I think they have nuclear weapons. I think that they haven't just been sitting here for the last 15 years while multiple presidents dicked the dog, pretending to send in inspectors that were being shuttled into fake sites. I'm 100% believe they have nuclear weapons.
Okay, perfect. So that's one thing. And you talked about changing Iran's regime. The founder of Iran, Ayatollah Khomeini, he has a quote. He says, "Preservation of the system is the most obligatory of obligation." حفظ نظام وجب واجبات هست in Persian. So during the last 8 days, about 300 to 400 people died because of the war.
Quick question. Are you a supporter of the IRGC?
Yep. No, I'm not.
Wait, hold on. You say no. So let me ask you this: if you had to choose between the IRGC and Cyrus the Great, for example, who would?
I would choose a Cyrus, but that's not possible.
He meant if you had to choose between IRGC and Pahlavi, which one do you choose?
Well, since there is no other option, I mean, if we try to change the Iran's regime, we have 3 options, okay?
Okay,
the first
we
option
just asked you a simple, straight question. Answer, do you want IRGC or Pahlavi? These are your only 2 options.
Yes, I'm answering, and I would appreciate if you don't interrupt. There are 3 options.
You're not going to answer. So yes, he is a...
Yeah, listen. When this whole thing's over, it would please my soul if the entire country gets renamed Trumpistan. That's my...
I see. So there are 3 options. The first one is the regime's transition, not changing that, by the internal people, right? And the second one is Pahlavi, which has so many people supporting him. And the third one is the Mujahideen Khalq, which maybe less than 1% support them. Right now, the only option Iran has is Pahlavi, And not to forget, his daughter was also married to a Jewish person about 10 days ago. So he's probably going to be the next regime if there is any change. But about all of this changing the regime, I just wanted to say, Iran killed 3,000 people in 3 days, not any people, his own people, in Mahsa Amini's movement. So if you basically try to corner a mouse, he's going to bite you. So Iran is going to attack. I mean, the retaliation you talked about is going to happen.
Yeah, hold on. Let me talk to my dick riders that are in the chat real quick. Rob is suggesting that I only go to rooms where me and JB would only go to rooms, where we mod, and Othello's co-signing on that. I have to tell you guys something. First of all, not only am I undefeated in debates on this app, secondly, when people make this comment, I volunteer willingly to put myself down, have the mod badge taken away. I even volunteer. I asked them, who would you like to be the moderator of this debate? And even in those situations, usually what happens is the person all of a sudden has microphone problems. It's weird how that happens. Or they leave the room, right? They never really fully participate. So I will say this to Rob. I will say this to Othello. Anytime you want to debate me, if it's a topic that I'm knowledgeable on, if it's something that I care to discuss, I'm happy to debate either of you fucking morons. And you can pick whoever the moderator is. I don't give two shits, because here's the thing. If we're going to have a conversation on a topic that if I'm willing to debate it, I guarantee I'll fucking know more than you boobs. But anyways, if you guys want to come up, by the way, mods, please invite these guys up, Othello and Rob. They add so much value to these conversations.
Please bring them up. I really want to speak to Rob, who's a friend of mine.
Yo, how's it going, everybody?
I tried to send. Hold on. I tried to send him a few invites, and he declined them all to Rob. Othello, I'll invite up now, but I doubt he'll come either. So let's invite Othello. Let's get to the crux of things.
Can you invite?
Wait. Rob, I can't invite Rob up anymore. Othello's on stage, Roger. If you guys could bring up Rob, that'd be greatly appreciated. Othello, I saw some receipts on you spewing a lot of anti-Semitism. Very surprising.
Okay, what did I say? What did I say, JB?
Sorry, I couldn't come off mute. Something to do with MG sucking Zionist cock. Like, you know MG in real life, you know whose cock she puts in her mouth.
I said she sucked Zionist dick on the daily. I was that anti-Semitic.
Well, I have to say, listen, and I don't want to get crude because MG's my friend and she's a classy gal. All I have to say is if there was any truth to that, I'd be excited because I'm a Zionist and she's beautiful. That's all.
I mean, you probably have a high rate of chance of getting that.
Actually, I think
you have a high rate of chance of MG's husband wiping the floor with the monkey that you fucking are. So at the end of the day, right. So again, MG is married to a high value fucking man. The fact that you're gonna sit in here and propagate some fucking narrative and compare her to some cheap, trashy, nappy headed ass black bitch that maybe you're used to actually fucking with, right? Because again, you come up into these spaces and you pretend to be precocious in a society that you don't belong to. So the fact that you want to sit up in here and talk about MG's family, her beautiful family that your nappy-headed black ass has yet to create, it's laughable.
Matt, can you bring up Rob Roulette, please?
I can't. I think Ro has to do it.
Well,
Again, I was that anti-Semitic.
Well, hold on. I just want to say, I want to make one slight correction to you, Dr. Adams, and you were on a great roll there. The one exception, though, is that I don't think that he would share time with nappy-headed women. I think that, a matter of fact, I have it on good authority that he actually himself is a cocksucker. So he is intimate. So.
Oh, absolutely, Roger. I mean, again, even the most nappy-headed ass, hair-hatted hooligans wouldn't even let this motherfucker sniff it.
Again, how was what I said anti-Semitic? That's the real crux, not what a down low man has to say.
Why are we allowing racism against the black, but everyone shouting Zionist, anti-Semite? You guys hypocrites, you know? You guys big hypocrites.
Yeah,
Wait, hold on. Where's the racism? Please point it out to me.
Your Adams, this freaking Adams guy being racist to the black.
Adams is black. Hold on. Adams, may I ask you 2 quick questions?
Yeah,
Adams,
of course.
Can you give me the background of your father?
I'm a country boy's son, in his own words. And, this black man under a Trump hat, sitting in Malibu in my PTR is definitely me. So, right, I don't come on this app as a namesake of somebody else's failure. I come on this app as myself.
Okay,
so it's really interesting.
Excuse
me. I wasn't finished. No, you sound like, petting zoo virginity loss in your throat. So at the end of the day, you're not going to sit here and you're not going to devalue my personhood of claiming that I'm being racist, okay, in calling out bad black behavior. I'm gonna step on the gas. Bad, nappy-headed ass monkey behavior for what it is.
Okay.
Let's say the quiet part out loud.
Okay. So I am Jewish, so I will be anti-Semitic. This is how it works.
This is crazy.
Adams is their chihuahua that they stick on.
Yeah, he's like their Uncle Tom that they use as a prop, and this JB.
Hold on. So you
sexually assault woman, JB.
What the?
You're a criminal. You're a sexual assaulting to woman.
I'm sorry, is this a Muhammad supporter talking about devaluing women?
No.
Like, you literally look for your mates in elementary school playgrounds. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? What the fuck are you talking about? Both of you troll for women in freaking playgrounds and fuck petting zoo animals. You fuck petting zoo animals.
JB, how many women you sexually assaulted this week?
Oh my goodness. Now we're getting to the root of it.
Get rid of this
It's crazy. And then you have Othello. That's crazy. Do you know that your namesake is actually a tragedy? And I can actually understand that because everything that you said has been absolutely disingenuous, non-intellectual, and horribly tragic. Horribly tragic.
Man, Adams, and you've really said some groundbreaking things today. I'm sure the whole room has gotten smarter from hearing you talk.
Anything else, Monkey? Anything else, Monkey?
Oh, man.
Anything else, Monkey? And the reason why I'm calling him a monkey is because if a grown-ass, strong black man actually wants to show up and have a conversation, then I'm willing to do that. But, as of late, given the options that we have on stage, you sound like you're in the enclosure between the peacocks, the flamingos, and the damn gorillas.
Adam, you ever notice how you don't get a green bean? Newsflash, no one likes you.
Why would I need a green bean? Why would I need a green bean? Do you know that you're the only person laughing amongst yourselves?
You come in these rooms and still no one likes you after like...
Oh! Isn't this crazy? Listen,
I'm
not gonna kick him.
Hold on, Othello. Thank you for reminding me. Adams, welcome to the Green Bean.
Thank you, Jay.
We should have a dick sucking Olympics, you and MG.
Ooh, someone sounds jealous.
That's not good.
Hey, hold on. Listen, you made your joke twice now, and it didn't land either time. But I'm going to tell you personally, if you make one more fucking comment like that about MG, I'm not only going to block you, I'm going to get everybody I know to block you, all the houses to block you, and you're going to have a very boring time on this app. Because the bottom line is, you like to come in these spaces. We can live with or without you. Talk shit about her woman.
Fuck MG.
All right, you little hoe. You're gone.
And you're a racist piece of shit.
Block party.
Yeah, you're a racist piece of shit.
Bye, tragedy.
Yeah.
I don't mind a little bit of shit talking, dude, but come on, man. Like, who the fuck do you think you are? The fucking IRGC? We treat women with respect around here.
Roger, he couldn't win. He wants to attack a woman who's not only an astounding woman in her own right, but she's not even on stage. Like, it's crazy to me, like how people just, you know, they get a mic, you know, they have some airtime, and all of a sudden, you know, they're the god as far as, you know, what people should believe about another person.
Also, not Dean. I can't wait till Interpol picks you up.
Thanks for that, Sheriff. Yeah, I second. Oh my God. I second what Roger said. What Absent. MG's just a good human being, on this app, off this app. But guys like that, they get off on picking on nice people.
You're jealous.
What's up, J-Lo?
What's up?
What's up, J-Lo?
We're celebrating the greatness of America and King Donald.
Yes.
What's going on, guys?
Hey, let's talk about the fight that Mike Brutus brought up. Who's CO and who are the other black Gnostics that we need to talk?
Oh, I'm fucking around. I'm tongue-in-cheek. I know it's just Chinatown, and Jay has been carrying the fire of healthy debates and, you know, some ugly shit. You have to make some weird compromises, weird bedfellows. But, no, JB, you know, you mentioned calling your own people out, so, I mean, everybody knows Ricky does it, but Ricky and JB are the wops who like to kind of snuggle up with the black Gnostics and let them talk bum shit on their stages.
How dare you?
A little.
Is this true, Ricky?
Kind of. I mean, to be honest. But fuck you, Mike. I don't know any Negro.
No, but in fairness, JB's done a good job overall, Roger, keeping it.
But what was your point about the blacks in here? What's going on? Talk to me.
Oh, I'm gonna be. Oh shit, JB's gonna hate this. Yeah, I guess in a sense I agree with them because you know the room shifts wildly from being I don't know, a normal room, what I would consider a normal room, to you know, we get enough of the black Gnostics on stage and having mod badges. And JB, you know, he's doing clubhouse shit, if you ask me, which I respect, right? He's doing the let me ask you a question. Do you think we should pay reparations? I think we should pay reparations. I get it. It's good content. But then he starts handing out fucking green beans to a bunch of militant Gnostic black people who think that they have special knowledge because they're black, and then they run roughshod over the whole room, and it turns into a fucking woke militant black room, and it's no longer fun. And basically me and Adams are the only two people who come into the room and actually push back against these fucking retards. But it's hard when they're all mods along with JB and we get no support. So anyway, but it's fun clubhouse.
You know that most of those black Gnostics lived in Nina, the Penta, and the Santa Maria, right? And so let's get our phone.
Wait, hold on a second, Ricky. Let me jump in here real quick because I was dealing with my dope. So, Mike, let me ask you a question. Do I or do I not offer you a green bean every time you come in here?
Yeah, but you know, I got the same.
Yes, and no, Michael. I listen to you. I listen to you, Babylon. Okay, it has to be and you tell me no. So when you complain that I'm giving it to just my black Gnostic friends, I also offer it to you on a daily basis.
I hear you. That's point well taken. I agree with Roger though about not having the green bean is more effective sometimes. But anyway, it's good clubhouse content. I appreciate.
But Mike, I mean, you got to admit there has been some better clubhouse content with these sort of situations. and I think you know who achieved them.
Yeah, but you've been resting on your laurels.
I know. I really do have to prove myself again. I was going to with that guy who was crying about Iran and how he was going to die, his family, but you guys just can't relax for a second and let content go ahead and content. But I get your point, Mike.
I just realized, Mike. It just dawned on me, and I had nothing to do with it. And I actually addressed it when you used the term what was it, mayonnaise monkey, right?
Yeah.
Now you and I understand what that means, but they didn't, so they
full of shit.
Kicked you out.
They're full of shit.
They kicked you out, and I think you got butter.
They are the type of people who will pretend that they don't know the meaning of the. I learned that fucking word from them calling white people mayonnaise monkey, and whether it's theater or you're honest. I don't care either way, because like I say, it's good content. But, you hold these rooms where Othello and CO and Nye's okay, but, even the good
Well, Othello never got a green bean.
No, but the whole fucking, they got Nye and CO running cover for them, mutant people, inmate, all these fucks trying to kick people, and then Othello and everybody, I mentioned that I had 2 black kids who were seniors in high school at least attacked me with car antennas when I was 14, and they called me the word nigger 1,000 times as they did it. And all those bitches did was laugh and chuckle and go, oh, you lost the fight. Oh, you lost the fight. Right? Meanwhile, all they do is sit up on this stage talking a gang of shit about white people. And then, every little oppression that anyone ever in the history of the world, not just black people, Native Americans are black. These motherfuckers started talking about how we genocided the buffaloes. How the fuck do you genocide an animal? Like, that's a term. Like, these people are out of control. And this shit just gets let slide when you have guys like CO and Nye and that stuttering prick Hakima. And you have the whole fucking stage
Hakima's never
we was kings fucking
Last night, Hakima was mod, and he modded some random woman, and she removed everyone, even Randy. Like, what does Randy...
Sarah, was I there for that?
No.
Okay.
But that guy, King, he does that when you're not around, too. He hates white men.
Fucking A,
he likes me, though. Huh?
No, I'm agreeing with you, Sarah.
That King guy, he's very nice to me.
And then
they'll be kicking. But he hates white men. He kicks them off the stage.
They'll be kicking the shit out of all the white people on stage, and then Jay will
Sarah,
chime in. Hold on, Jay will chime in. Jay will chime in. But I'm one of the good ones, right? And they'll go, yeah, you're cool, JB. Anyway, this cracker over here, blah 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 blah. It's like, what the fuck, Jay? I mean, it's good content.
You keep saying, wait, hold on, Roland, please, respectfully.
Can you is my microphone okay, or is it fucked up?
I'm having a conversation with Mike. I don't know. Do you want to join in the conversation so you don't know what anything about, or no?
No, I'm interested in listening to the conversation. It was just a simple question.
Okay, can I finish what I'm saying to him? And then you can have the mic. Thank you. Thank you. So Mike keeps saying it's good content, but you have these side little comments that it's not good content. So here's my thing, bro. I offer you a green bean every day, you decline. Then you come in here and you fucking cry like a little bitch. If you don't like my spaces, stay the fuck out. But you know what? I like my spaces. I enjoy my spaces, and you know what? I respect these people. Just because you don't respect them, stop fucking crying about it.
Hey Jay, can I ask a question?
I want to check in with Mike. Mike, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm right as the mail. How you doing?
I'm just
that wasn't very nice, JB. Mike is a great human being.
I don't need your approval, Ricky.
You got my approval, JB.
Hey, and JB, I stuck up for you.
Ricky, don't get jealous, okay? I have enough
when everyone on the app started saying, when did Jay become Jewish? Is he faking being Jewish? I always thought he was Italian. I took up for you. I said, if that's the case, JB would be the first Italian in the history of the world.
You know what's funny? You know what's funny about that I didn't know he was Jewish thing. Why would I said this, Roger and I had a conversation the other day. Why would I pick the one group in the world that gets the most smoke and the most hate? Listen, I'm a lot of things, I'm not dumb. Why would I select the one group out of every group in the world that gets the most fucking hate and say, I'm part of that group? Yeah, I think I'm not that fucking dumb.
All right, back to the conversation. I'm going to go to the audience.
Mike,
because
are you
Roger
okay?
summoned.
Mike, you okay?
I'm fine, Rohan. What's your problem? You okay?
Do you want to know my problem?
Did you miss the part where Roger summoned me and said he wanted to know what I meant? Maybe you should take it up with Roger.
I missed it.
No, listen. I caused all that trouble, and I apologize. I just want to know what we meant about the Black Gnostics that were on the stage. I will say this: I think that once upon a time, this app was really good at bringing some people together to allow for a conversation that would have like a back and forth that was pretty even. But there seems to be like a balance. Like if you lean the scale too far one direction, all of a sudden that conversation that seems nuanced and seems like everybody wants to get a better understanding of everyone, all of a sudden when the balance of power, whether it's political, whether it's identity, whatever it might be, once it shifts and there's enough weight on one side of the scale, the conversation really flips into something else. And I don't know how to fix that because it's very difficult. You can't control who shows up into these rooms. You just open them and then they show up. I mean, you can have a little bit of control of the content, the type of conversation you're going to have, the title that you're going to have, the way that you're going to moderate, that sort of thing. But it's very difficult to maintain a balance of ideologies and identity and all these different things, which is why I try to stay away from the identity piece and have more of a conversation about the ideas. That way, if you can take the identity away from it, then you can try to balance it around the ideas. And people, that are married to their identity and all of their ideas come from their identity, they become less interested in that conversation, which makes it better because for me, I want to talk about the ideas and not about the identity. That's my preference. And by the way, it's not that I think that it becomes better or worse if it's tilted in one direction or the other. I think once it's tilted identity-wise, if the topic's around identity, it's just going to get really weird. I don't want to be around a bunch of people that I agree with, and I don't want to be around a bunch of people that I disagree with. I'd rather be in a conversation that's just a little bit more balanced. That's my preference. And so, and I think Clubhouse in general has struggled with that, but I would say that historically, Healthy Debates has probably been the best on the app for allowing for that.
Hey, Roger, let me ask you a question. We had a conversation a couple days ago. I'm not sure if you recall. The one group that I hate the fucking most. Do you remember what I said? Wasn't the pro-blacks or the anti-Semites? Do you remember who I said?
Probably with me, the progressive whites, right?
I said the pseudo-intellectuals. I hate these motherfuckers. Like Mike was a pseudo-intellectual. That's just my opinion.
So my least favorites, I don't like the vegans. I don't like the communists. I don't like life coaches. I don't like, who else do I not like? Yeah, the progressives, the commies, the life coaches, the vegans.
I'm a pseudo-intellectual now. Last week, Jay asked me to Chris.
It's a nice little throwback to Goodfellas.
Yeah, I think it's funny too.
Guys, quick.
You just did, but you can ask another.
I appreciate that. Hey, how do you guys think tonight's speech with Trump, is that possibly the best speech he's ever given as president?
Short and to the point.
It's probably the shortest speech I've ever seen him do, to start off with. I was saying earlier that I'm actually really surprised that given the gravity of what's just happened that he kept it so short. Perhaps that was by instruction. I know it seemed really well, but it was an amazing speech.
Well, I think everything that's been orchestrated so far has been really good. Like, if you think about, like, hey, we've got this deadline to talk about, a deal, and then Israel strikes. And then, hey, I'm going to think about this for 2 weeks, and then we strike. I think the misdirection that he's given, I don't think he's going to get a third chance at misdirection. I think the misdirection's over. Now it's going to have to be very direct. Hey, if you don't do this, this is going to happen. And I think he laid that out.
Well, I thought the part I thought was weird about the speech, it was a good speech, not a great speech. I thought BB's speech was fantastic, was that he had the Vice President, the Secretary of State, and the Defense Secretary standing behind him. And I can't remember a time when the President was going to address the nation that he came out with half his cabinet.
I'm just saying we are glossing over the hypocrisy of today, right? Kamala's gonna get us into World War III. We don't want any more wars. We're MAGA. Blah blah blah. And now all of a sudden we're pro-war and pro all that BS we're complaining about. Like, let's cut the shit, right? There's already factions of the Republicans who are pissed off about this, and it's gonna hurt the Republicans in the middle.
So Mother, I'm probably the least hawkish of the people that are right of center that are on this app. I don't. I would have liked to have seen Congress declare, give the permission to this as the Constitution states. There's a lot of preferences that I have, but here's the thing. I make an exception when you start thinking of, like, every generation has the evil of their time, right? And God bless the people that, the Winston Churchills of the world. Not a perfect guy, stood up to, to Nazi Germany. I feel like that the United States has kicked the can so much when it comes to Iran that I look at Trump and I have to say, you know what? Finally, somebody did something, and whether it was the right thing, whether it was the right timing, whatever. What I can tell you is that continuing to kick the can down to another generation until they have a fully developed nuclear program, I think that would be highly irresponsible. And so I don't give a shit why people voted for Trump. I didn't vote for him, but I will say that over the last few weeks, I've had more respect for Trump than, any time since he's ran or since he's become president. I think what he's doing takes courage, and when you do something that's courageous, you're going to have.
Yeah, I mean, but I don't disagree. I would have blown this shit up 2 weeks ago. I wouldn't have waited, right? I'm fine with him blowing it up. But I do think that it is very hypocritical of the MAGA movement to be like, oh, we never want to go into another war. We never want to attack another country. It's none of our business, blah, 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 blah. Kamala's going to drag us into the Middle East. We're never going to get out. Nikki Haley is a war hog. All that shit that they said, and look at us. Look at where we're at. Like, it's
I don't remember anyone saying that Kamala was going to get us into war in the Middle East.
Yeah, I don't think I ever heard that rhetoric either.
Yeah, I don't remember that. I'm saying I don't recall anyone criticizing Kamala on the grounds that she would get us embroiled in a Middle Eastern conflict.
Go look it up. It's an easy find on Google.
I mean, like, listen, within all the shit that people say in a campaign, I don't doubt you. It just didn't strike me as a big talking point. Because, like, who would you think is likely to cause more? I think, if anything, the claim was that Trump will be a more pacifying effect on the world, as we usually see with Republican presidents, that people are afraid of the guy that's ready to press the button. And I would not call this war, by the way. If you wanted to call this a war, you could probably just extend it from the authorized use of military force that we've had ever since 9/11, allowing us to do everything in the Middle East, including topple two other.
Wait, hold on, Mixed. This specifically, the AUMF does not cover this.
Why not?
It doesn't, because it only covered Afghanistan, Iran.
No, it didn't have any nation names. It had the perpetrators of the 9/11 attacks and the associates. The associates allows them to kill everyone. But
not to mention the AUMF is no longer in place anyway.
Oh, well, that's good. Then it's not under the AUMF. This would just be simple War Powers Act of a president engaging in a
right. This is 1973 War Powers Act. Yeah.
Right, which is fine. I wouldn't call this a war. I would call this an opportunity that the president, probably any president, would have made use of. Like, with Iran's air defense down and Israel being responsible, America should just take a swipe out of the nuclear arsenal, right? If they have been campaigning against it for 50 years, and they have, and they don't want Iran to have them, and Israel just left Iran like a beached whale, America would be stupid not to just send in a few bombs to finish it up. That would be very dumb. It doesn't have to go any further. It probably won't go any further. It was a smart move. I would say a war of opportunity, if anything.
So, I mean, this doesn't counter my point, right? I think the attack was correct. The point that I'm saying is that you have significant portions of the MAGA movement that are anti-involvement in the Middle East of any kind, right?
That's
and then
true.
Yet now we're supposed to cheer this on, even though it runs counter to the whole American first philosophy that we need to focus on our own shit. Like, if you can't see that as a hypocritical situation, I don't know what to do. I think we should attack, but I think you guys have me agree with Marjorie Taylor Greene. I cannot believe I'm agreeing with Marjorie. She literally said this 2 days ago, that it is anti-America first for us to get involved in this.
I wouldn't characterize it as hypocritical. I do agree with you that there are people within the MAGA movement that are America first, and they interpret America first to mean no foreign entanglements to the highest order. We should all just focus on the two oceans we have on either side, our military support, and just focus on fixing America. I think there's plenty of MAGA people that hold by that, but I also think there are MAGA people that support Trump and want him to be the strong man to, yes, respond quickly and decisively when we have foreign conflicts. I think that
can I clarify here a little bit?
It's also three oceans, the Arctic too.
Okay, thank you.
Well, hold on. To McZed, let me just say this to McZed, though. Before Trump got back into office, there was American troops that were being killed by Iranian proxies, and I think that there's a lot of justification to say, hey, look, you funded, you trained these proxies, probably ordered them, and American soldiers were injured and killed by these Iranian proxies. I think we have more than enough justification, even within the, it's not, not our war. Those people would have liked to have seen our troops come home, but while they were there, if a hair on their head was harmed, I think that they would all give the thumbs up to, like, let's retaliate.
And again, we are not destroying Iran. We are not conquering Iran. We are disabling their nuclear capability, which is good for the world.
Okay, so what Roger just said is true. I don't know of any part of the America First movement that wants no involvement on the world stage. I am aware of groups of people who are scared of perhaps this particular situation because they're afraid that Israel is whispering in the ear of the American politicians via their lobbying groups and all that kind of stuff. But I don't think that there's anyone in the America First movement who would not have pulled the trigger on this operation as it was just laid out by McZed and Roger. I don't think there's anyone that would have done that. What they're looking to do is not start wars, not put troops on the ground, not get into another Iraq and Afghanistan, which is what we all have PTSD from. The entire country, anybody who knows exactly what happened there, has a post-traumatic stress response to what we did. We spent almost $20 trillion doing nothing, building gas stations for places with no cars, etc., etc. We let the military-industrial complex run our lives, steal our entire fucking paychecks, steal our entire retirement savings, and that's it. We don't want that to happen again, and that's why there's so many people that moved over from many different parties to come join this movement, because they all feel it.
Well, it's not just MAGA. Most people in America don't want that from all parties.
Okay. We also have lots of bombs, and I've never been one to be petty about using them. Let's use them where needed, as long as it's not people.
And I think one of the things that Americans often forget, lose sight of in an active American war, is in a free speech country like ours, a very, sacred free speech place, the anti-war movement, that happens at any war. Nobody likes war. Every time there is any kind of a war, people will oppose it because people die. That's just a natural response. That's not to say that it's not a good war. I'm just saying there will always be people opposing war. Republicans, Democrats, lefties, conservatives. There will always be a justification to despise war, as there should be. But this is a good attack.
Well, Miguel,
military move.
Miguel, let me ask you a question. You think, and it's not my opinion, I'm just asking you a question, that he loses credibility because he said, his slogan, keep America first.
I think that in some people will interpret that and they'll hold that against him, sure. But I think most of the cooler heads, the people that understand why wars are necessary and have to happen, they'll see that this was a measured, small attack from the American military perspective, and it was a huge reward for the small action. This is a better return on investment, let's put it that way, than the trillions we put into Afghanistan.
Correct, because nobody on our side has died yet, knock on wood. We were able to hit the 3 targets that we've identified that were the most valuable, and as Trump explained, the future targets that we may have to hit, it's going to be easier and safer to do that having done this. It also gives us a hell of a lot of leverage because we're no longer talking about a threat. We've actually wielded a little bit of power here, and so I think that's going to be it's going to be advantageous to us as a bargaining chip moving forward. The only thing the IRGC really has left that it could do, in my opinion, and I'm no fucking expert, but it seems like launching, whatever power the proxies have left and whatever ammunition they have left, to just say, to tell their jihadists, hey, now's the time. Now is the time. Go do your thing. And so I do think people need to be extra vigilant. I think civilians will probably die in terrorist attacks. I think that bases will get attacked. I think that's going to happen. But I think that's also going to just further justify what we need to do to make them even more.
So I think Israel has done a good job of crippling Hamas and Hezbollah. So I think the Hezbollah spokesperson came out, I think it was 30, 40 minutes ago, which I found it fascinating that they have a spokesperson. When I was reading the Newsweek article, that Hezbollah plans to not get involved. Because I know you can fucking hear me, right? So Hezbollah
I'm saying you shouldn't be surprised. Hezbollah has political power
you can
in
fucking
Lebanon.
hear me. So I'm going to keep going because I know you can
Yeah,
hear
I know.
me.
You're surprised.
Right? So I'm going to finish my statement and
have
you can
a
respond.
political
Right? What is the point of this? I was literally done in a minute. You know what? Go ahead.
Of course, Hezbollah has a spokesman. They are a political entity in Lebanon.
That was a point for you to go on mute. But anyways, essentially, right, they are saying that they're not going to get involved, right, which I think is a great thing, and it was a smart strategic move by Israel to wipe them out. You could talk
about a quick statement that I've got coming in. So just in a statement from the foreign minister of the Islamic Republic of Iran, the full statement goes as follows. The United States, a permanent member of the United Nations Security Council, has committed a grave violation of the UN Charter, international law, and the NPT by attacking Iran's peaceful nuclear installations. The events this morning are outrageous and will have everlasting consequences. Each and every member of the United Nations must be alarmed over the extremely dangerous, lawless, and criminal behaviour. In accordance with the UN Charter and the provisions allowing a legitimate response in self-defence, Iran reserves all options to defend its sovereignty, interests, and people. That's the end of the statement that's come through. I find it just a little bit hypocritical, given the grievous injustices that are served upon 80 million of their 80 million people in their population.
Rollo, can you see if we can dig up right around the same time after just hours after Russia invaded Ukraine and see what the UN's response to that would have been? I think that would.
Hey, Roger, I'm just going to break something else. IDF said it's detected a launch of ballistic missiles from Iran. Sirens are expected sounding in the next few minutes. Sorry, Roger. Go on.
No. That was a great interjection. And let's just hope that everybody, that family, friends, and just everyone in Israel is safe. The one thing that I really appreciate learning more about Israel is the lengths that they go to make sure that their people are safe. It's sad that they have to go to those lengths, but if there's any country prepared for incoming missiles, it is Israel. And so let's just, that said, let's just hope they're safe.
Yeah, 100%. Look, I just got a message, just as you were saying that, from a family member of mine who's just let me know that they're in a shelter as we speak. And look, I mean, whilst we're on that topic, you know, we get so many people coming in and say, oh, well, it's a genocide in Gaza, it's a genocide in Gaza. Notice how many people were given protection by Hamas against incoming potential threats. The amount is zero. This is the reason why people have died. There have been a total, right, given the thousands, right, you've got to maybe have a picture of thousands of rockets being fired towards a country from Iran, from the Houthis, from Lebanon, from all over the place. 2 people have lost their lives. A total of 2 people have lost their lives whilst they've been in a shelter. But you know, people who just cannot grasp, you know, this concept of having an intellectual conversation and realise that the reason why people have died in Gaza primarily is because Hamas chose not to protect their civilian population, well, despite them actually, you know, building and digging up, you know, 300 miles, 500 kilometres of underground tunnels. That wasn't for them. No, that's not to be able to protect citizens. That's to be able to make sure that terrorists can move around freely, whilst their citizens are going to be under attack and they're going to die. Interesting. So anybody wants to have a conversation about that, feel free to come up. I'm more than happy to do that.
Yeah, I think that was interesting. Can I just also say hi to Ken? It's been a long time since I've said hi to him. Probably six months or more. Well,
Thank you.
Ken, what are you getting from the news? How do you feel about what's been going on?
Just watching the same news you guys are just watching. So, I mean, I just sometimes go into some of these rooms just to hear what people are saying who generally are not all that informed, you know? So I just listen. You know?
So I have a question. So there's like updated reports, right? Initially they thought Iran had 3,000 missiles, right? That was the initial estimate. But there was like an updated report saying that Iran actually has like 20,000 ballistic missiles. Is that true? Like, was Israel's count that far off from what the initial estimates were?
Sorry.
Wait. If you're asking us to be able to count the missiles better than Israel can, I don't think you're going to get a qualified answer. But if anybody feels qualified,
I think
I don't think anyone
actually know at this point in time. But as it's happening right now, the whole of Israel is under red alert. That basically means that there's going to be approximately 9 million people in shelters. That includes men, women, and children. This has been ongoing ever since Iran initiated the missile strikes against Israel at all times of the night. People are getting up at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, and literally have between 30 to 45 seconds to be able to get into their shelters. Imagine that effect happening once, but maybe 2 nights in a row. What about 3 nights? Or let's just add up the months that this has been occurring and what type of effect it's had on innocent people, let alone the deliberate targeting of civilian bases such as hospitals. And notice that there are, these woke leftist motherfuckers, right, will stay completely and absolutely silent when there's a deliberate target against the civilian population, there's silence. Crickets. Nothing. For a second.
May I speak?
Yeah, go for it, Joe.
So, just to clarify, I'm definitely in support of Palestine. I support Palestinian resistance. Not sure where I want to begin, but I guess I'll go backwards. And I don't want to speak for too long because I want to give everyone a chance to healthily debate me, as is the title of this room. I just want to... Well, like I said, I guess I'll just go backwards.
Can I ask a qualifying question, Josh? 2 minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Do you believe that Israel has a right to exist?
Not in its current form, no. And I'm not like these guys that go on Piers Morgan, like Dave Smith, and they seem to crumble under this question, like, and they're like, oh no, of course Israel has a right to exist. No, that you're asking, when you ask me that question, that sounds like you're asking me, does apartheid South Africa have the right to exist, or does Rhodesia have the right to exist? It might be a little inflammatory, but I wouldn't say it's equivalent, but it's similar to asking if Nazi Germany has the right to.
Oh my God, okay. You're making an equivalence of Israel, which you've probably never been to in your life, to Nazi Germany, which you probably know very little about.
I specifically said I'm not making an equivalence, but I can compare it to that.
Okay. Well, I mean, there's no comparison between the two. Like, if you want to be intellectually honest about it, to start off with.
Well, I can tell you why. I can tell you why I think it's comparable.
Position, what you've said so far, you believe that Israel does have the right to exist, but you disagree with its politics. Is that correct?
Okay, so Israel in the form that it currently exists is a supremacist state, which means, and the whole thing is, you know, like, well, let me ask you so I know which direction I need to address you in. Do you believe that Israel has a right to exist from a religious perspective? Like, are you an evangelical Christian, or are you a religious Jewish person? Or like a Zionist, in that you think that they have a religious right to live there based on the Torah or the Bible? Or are you a secular person that thinks that that Israel is the ethnic homeland of Jews, that they have, that they can trace back their ancestry?
I'll answer your question because it's getting a little bit long in the tooth. I believe that any people that have been living on the land for over 3,500 years that hasn't been ceded have the right to be able to have that land. Would you disagree with that in any way, shape or form?
No, I actually agree with that. And what I think a lot of people don't realize is that Palestinians have closer genetic ties to Canaanite and even Israelites, the ancient Israelites that we read about in these biblical scriptures, than
I think that's where our conversation is. I think that's where our conversation finishes, because you're talking about false science. It's unproven. It's been debunked.
No, it isn't.
I'm not prepared to be able to go into dialogue with you about it.
You can look it up. You can look up the average Palestinian has 80% Levantine genetics, as opposed to.
I know this. I promise you. I know this argument. I know that the material you're referring to, it has been debunked. There's no point in having a dialogue.
What is your
foundation?
Wait
a second. The foundation and the premise that you have of this conversation is completely flawed. Sorry.
Hey, Josh, Rona, could you just give me a second with this guy, just to bring him back to the 21st century for everybody? Never mind what happened 2,000 years ago.
Happy to, sure.
Okay. The 21st century, right now, today. So, Josh, here's my question to you. This whole issue, and I'll even, for the sake of argument, say whatever you want to say, Israel's apartheid, whatever, it's a religious state, blah, blah, blah. By Western standards, I mean, I'm an American, okay? By Western standards, whether it's U.S. or Canadian or whatever, okay, it doesn't have necessarily all of the rules of religious equality that we would have in the United States, but neither does any other country in the Middle East. And my question is, when this argument comes up, Nobody points to all the other the countries in the Middle East. I mean, there's like, I don't know, 30, 40, 50, the different Muslim and Arab countries. Okay, most of the world doesn't operate like the United States and Canada. Okay, and we should stop trying to view it through that prism. Okay, so when you look around the rest of the Middle East, even if I accept some of the stuff that you're saying in regards to Israel, what about every other country around it? You want to change them too?
Okay, so basically, I think what you're trying to say is why should Palestinians live in their homeland if there's Muslim countries surrounding them? Is it?
No, it's not even about Palestinians. It's about every other single country. Leaving outside. Let's skip the Palestinians for now. Every other country around Israel. Okay. A lot of them are Islamic. And they operate under some of different forms of Islamic law that would be First Amendment violations in the United States. Why are we constantly trying to view what goes on in the Middle East through some sort of American prism of the First Amendment or something? Because it's not realistic. We're not going to change the world. Well, I mean, if you're an enemy of foreign wars, then you can say, how do we do with Iraq? How do we do with Afghanistan? Trying to change the world. This is the way that part of the world is.
I'm still kind of having trouble understanding what exactly your question is.
My question is, you're saying Israel doesn't have a right to exist because you believe
current form.
Its current form, whatever that means. I don't know. You want to go to the 48 laws? I don't even want to get that discussion. Okay, but because you believe in its current form, it's somewhat of an apartheid state. But isn't almost every country around it, every country that's one of its neighbors, like that by a U.S. or Canadian or Australian standard? Because they're not Western. They operate with heavy emphasis on religion. If you don't, people don't dress a certain way. It's a crime, or you get beaten, or whatever. I mean, it's a completely different world. I mean, you have countries where their penalty for homosexuality is the death penalty. That's their neighbors. Okay.
Well, so, that's not Gaza. Like a lot of people say, oh, if you're gay in Gaza, you get thrown off the roof.
Going back to Gaza.
No one had. Well, no. Okay, so all right, but you're talking about the surrounding countries, and I am talking about Palestine or Gaza, where the death penalty for being gay has never been implemented. No one has ever even been arrested for it, and their law against homosexuality was a British law that they just left in place. Now, I'm not saying Gaza is the most gay-friendly place, but I don't see why that's the center. Again, I don't. Because are you trying to say that Israel should
argue they should ally with folks who would throw them off buildings if they enforced the law that was written on the damn books? Your argument is that it's not enforced. The argument somebody else was making was that it was on the books at all, right?
It's not on the books to throw gay people off the roof. It's not. The law that's in the book under Gaza was a law that was placed by the British mandate, and they just left it there. It's not
Again, it still exists, which is the point.
It exists in many places. Israel, they may recognize gay marriage if you do it out of the state of Israel, but they don't allow gay marriage. Is that a little bit more progressive? Sure, but my thing is not.
There is something totally different in letting gay people get married and having them killed because they are gay.
But nobody has ever been killed by the state in Gaza for being gay. That's never happened.
You're missing my point, which is that it's there. If they didn't want it,
it's not there. There's nothing.
Uninterested in taking it off the book.
There's nothing.
They just left it.
There's nothing. But even the British law that they left in place, it doesn't say that there's a death penalty for being gay.
Okay, fine. I'm wrong. There's still a punishment for it, which is my point.
But it's never. Yeah, but it's.
And then people who sit on the left-hand side of the aisle and happen to be gay would be making an argument for a group of people who govern a place that wouldn't treat them decently. Hamas, the former government of Gaza, was not interested in treating gay people decently. It just fucking wasn't. The standard of life for somebody who was gay in Gaza under Hamas versus the standard of life for somebody who's gay in America, even in one of the most conservative states in our country, is a far better life.
Sure. So yeah, of course. Now, if there are gay people in Gaza, and there's an account called
Queer people are all over the place.
Yeah, and there's an account called Queer Maps, and I remember one of these posts from the beginning of the war was a gay person in Gaza. You post anonymously, and they were mourning the death of their friend, their gay friend, and he wasn't killed by Hamas or any of the factions in Gaza. He was killed by Israel. So, for me, the core concern for me is not whether they're allowed to be gay or not by the law or get married or not. It's who's actually, in the end of the day, how are these gay people being killed? And 99.9% of the time, 100% of the time, because as far as I know, there's no documented case of the state killing a gay person in Gaza. They're being killed by Israel from bombing. And yeah, I don't know. We kind of got caught up in this other thing. I would like to talk about the
reading ChatGPT.
I'm not reading.
When I asked ChatGPT, he just literally said verbatim what you said.
I
can read ChatGPT what it says, and it's
read me ChatGPT, and I just read it.
No, I know, but he's like
the true matter.
Because I've researched this, and maybe I get a similar thing.
I was
searching it
while you were talking. After reading it, that it's
what does it say?
What you were saying.
Read to me what it says.
Hamas governs under the operations a legal system that influences a combination of civil, religious, and traditional laws. However, there is no specific written law in Gaza under Hamas rule that explicitly prescribes the death penalty for homosexuality. But that's exactly what you said.
That is
because you
can get that.
The murder.
I know. I was searching it. I was like, I wonder if there is.
Look, I didn't get my answer from
a 25-year-old gay Palestinian was found decapitated in Hebron, West Bank, after seeking asylum in Israel due to death threats related to his sexuality.
Yes. Okay. Let me debunk.
As I said that there were no
verbatim what you just said.
I'll correct you. I will correct you. First of all, I don't use ChatGPT, and I read an article the other day about how ChatGPT makes people retarded. It's actually
the suspect, Anas premeditated murder, but the prosecutor stated the investigation found no evidence linking the killing directly to Abu Marquez's sexuality.
Correct. I know this case, and I know it not because I use ChatGPT.
I thought you just said that there was no
from this. I said
killing someone for their sexual orientation.
I said by the state. And this happened in the West Bank. I was talking about Gaza.
This happened using to prosecute the murderer.
This happened once.
That's how it happened.
Okay, can I speak? This happened in the West Bank. It was not done by the state, which is what I said. The killing itself was not done by the state.
Hey, Josh,
murder is protected by the state. That happens in all the Islamic countries with.
Can we proceed with the discussion? Because it would be much nicer if we had a discussion where people are giving organic answers and thinking critically rather than reading from a.
Real quick before Josh, please let me in real quick. So I actually went and looked it up, and according to this article, Bibi Netanyahu actually puts the number at 20. Why did I get muted? I've been patiently waiting for 20 minutes. The fuck? Why did I get muted?
I don't know. I didn't mute you, so.
Yeah, I think the mods are getting tired of this AI bullshit.
I didn't read from AI. And what you read from ChatGPT it's an accumulation of what you can read on Google. Now, yes, I've learned these things from.
So Google AI.
But I didn't Google it just now. I've known this for years. So,
You just spread a lot. You said there was no documented evidence. I did a quick search. I found 2 quickly.
Josh, I got a real quick question. Your full name, Josh Serrano. Are you familiar that that's a Ukrainian, Polish, Ashkenazic?
Yes, I am. My dad actually is Ukrainian Jewish. We're not related to the journalist David Sirota. Did I say my dad? He is my stepdad, and I have civil conversations with him all the time about this. He's not like a full-blown Zionist, but obviously October 7th struck close to his heart, and the fact that this is kind of like what I wanted to go into earlier. Is Israel is like the only state where you can trace back your ancestry to the Ukraine. Sirota, which means orphan, by the way.
Yeah, it's orphan in Ashkenazic, meaning it's Slavic.
Yeah, and you can trace he can trace his identity back thousands of years to Ukraine, Russia, that area. It was all once the same place. Yet he holds an Israeli passport. So, and there's no other country like that where you can come apply for birthright and then essentially take a home from what used to be a Palestinian built and one of these internationally recognized
how can Palestinian that's like third generation living in Chicago can be Palestinian too? Like, that doesn't make any sense. They just...
Yeah, but the difference is they're not allowed to go back to the places that have been expanded as far as like illegal settlements. So, I mean, can I ask you what you think about illegal settlements and like how they've expanded into the West Bank? Like, do you call it Judea-Samaria? Like, what do you think about it?
I mean, it is Judea-Samaria, and I'm against all illegal actions.
I mean, we're going back to 70 AD or 130 AD.
Why don't you guys use ChatGPT to figure out what I was talking about earlier? Because I honestly, I read this from...
That's how I read verbatim what you said.
No, not about that. Earlier than that. And it wasn't verbatim what I said. And what you found on ChatGPT, you're going to find on Google. You can find it on E.M. Pape's book. I mean, you can find it in the book called... The Invention of the State of Israel, which was written by an Israeli professor.
Oh, okay. So you were saying you don't like the current